Hello, good evening everyone. Just gonna give my systems a few seconds here to upload, get the live stream, get the notifications out, all of that fun stuff. And I am excited to be here with you tonight. We are continuing our amazing mini-series on one of the most important things to create a supportive and comfortable space for you to recover in and to bond with your little one after birth. And creating this ahead of time before you give birth is so important because it really gives you that peace of mind of knowing that you have what you need already there, already set up, it's functional, you have all the things that you need to make it easier for you to be able to prioritize your own well-being and your own healing in the postpartum time frame. And over the last 2 weeks, about a week and a half now, we've covered a lot of different areas and how to create this space so that it is like a retreat for you after birth. And if you look back on my page or in my feed for Instagram, you will see those previous video trainings. If you're also looking for them and you just want it to be an easy, quick click, feel free to DM me and I can shoot you over all of the links. I keep them organized in a notes tab, so I can send that over to you very easily so that you can get directly into those specific trainings and watch the replays. For those who are new here or even those who have been following along, I'll just introduce myself and say hello. My name is Jessie Slutton and I am your postpartum empowerment coach. I help you feel as calm, prepared, and confident for your life with your newborn and transitioning into parenthood as you do for your birth. My spiel is all about really spending this precious time during pregnancy preparing for your 4th trimester and beyond. We have a lot of energy and thought and excitement when it comes to planning for birth and for doing our baby registry and for decorating the nursery and picking our themes for the nursery and finding the cutest little outfits for our baby and, you know, doing all the laundry and organizing our closets or having a cute space for our cloth diapering needs, whatever it might be. But then we kind of get to parenthood after birth and they hand us our baby in the hospital or in, you know, our home birth area, and then we're like, oh shit, like, oh yeah, I forgot to kind of think about everything that follows, right? And we're sore and we're exhausted and things are leaking that we weren't expecting to leak, or we knew they might, but it's awkward and we don't know how to handle it, or we're in pain, or we're going through all of these things, right? And we just wished, if you're like me, this is my experience, I'm speaking from experience here with my first birth, you just wish you would have spent a little bit more time planning for everything after birth, because birth is just the beginning. Everything that comes after is what we have to plan for now, so that when we're in the thick of things, we aren't too overwhelmed, too stressed out, too tired, too isolated to know what to do or the resources we need to be able to make this an easier transition. And this goes for no matter if you're a brand new first-time parent or you're a more seasoned parent. Each birth and each postpartum is going to be unique, and you're going to have different things come up that you might not expect. So having these strategies and resources in place beforehand is key. And that's exactly what I do. I work with my clients and with my one-on-one clients and with my group program, my P4 program, is all about preparing you. And I have done the groundwork and taken the difficulty out of it, so you don't have to spend hours Pinteresting everything. We are going to go through the 5 major factors, the 5 pillars I call them, of my postpartum empowerment plan. And we do this together. We work through a beautiful workbook that I've put together. I have, I think now about 12 or more trainings that I've done to kind of aid in that process. So if it's something that you are wanting for your birth, your postpartum experience, please feel free to schedule a call with me. I have the link here in the comments, as well as pinned as one of the links in my Facebook posts here on in the live. Or if you're on Instagram, you can head over to my bio and you can grab that link. Let's have some virtual coffee. Let's just sit down, talk about what your goals are, where your roadblocks might be, what your support system looks like, you know, all of the things that you have going on right now, what your perinatal journey has looked like so far. And we'll talk about if this would be a good fit for you. But tonight, we're diving back into creating this sacred space. And this is one of the important things that I think is kind of more of those tangible things that's easy for us to kind of prepare for ahead of time. And that's creating a changing station in your recovery space. So say hello if you're live with me. I love to say hello and connect with you. Let me know where you're coming in from. And I'll be sure to say hello and shout out while we're going along here. If I miss you, because sometimes I don't see the comment notification, I will be sure to say hello in the replay in the comments after I've posted the video. So let's dive in and talk about some of my favorite essential items that you're going to want to have in your diaper changing station. And then I'm also going to give you a few of my tips and tricks and things to think about to make diaper changes a little bit more comfortable for you. So one of the things that of course you're going to want in your diaper station is diapers. Surprise, right? But the thing you want to think about is how are you going to want to diaper your baby? So this is something you're going to want to research, think about, kind of work through with your partner and your support team. Do you want to use disposables? Do you want to go ahead and do cloth diapering? Are you looking into elimination communication? There's a lot of different methods, so maybe a changing station isn't even necessary for you. You have to kind of figure out what works best for you and your family. And then maybe having a few different options available so that if one method or way isn't working out the way you had hoped or thought it would, you have something else that's easy to reach for, that you don't have to scramble to go to the store for. You have it all ready to go. So having a good supply of those clean diapers available, I think it's really helpful to have like an open basket, a bin, a shelf, just something that's within arm's reach of wherever you're going to be spending the most of your time for your recovery so that you can easily reach them. You don't have to fumble with packaging. It's all laid out and ready to go for you. So that's my number one, diapers. Surprise, surprise. Number two is wipes. Again, this is another thing that you can kind of look into. What do you feel comfortable with as far as what type of wipes you want to use? You can also do cloth wipes. That's an option that some families feel great about. You can start researching that. You can research other disposable type of wipes. There's tons of different ones that are out there. You can research what feels good for you for ingredients, all of these things that might be important. I highly recommend sticking with a more sensitive brand because so much of our baby's skin can be sensitive, right? And so you might have a baby who it doesn't bother at all, but you might have a little one like my kiddos who had very sensitive skin. So using certain products could actually, cause worse rash. So it's good to kind of think about that, see what you feel comfortable with. It's all very, a personal choice, but doing that research now can help eliminate some of the stress later. So having a good supply on hand for wipes is great. Another thing you can think about potentially doing if it's something you want to do is a wipe warmer. So these can be a really great product for, especially in the early days. It can be kind of a shock to our babies to have to be changed. They didn't have to worry about any of that, right, in the womb. So having a diaper change can be cold and uncomfortable. So a wipe warmer might be a nice option, something that you can look into if that's something you want to do for your little one. And having that nearby your changing station plugged in, ready to go, making sure you have all the extra supplies. I think a lot of them come with like a little sponge at the bottom that you need to keep moist to help making sure the wipes don't dry out. So that's something you can look in getting a little stockpile of and having it all together so you have a little supply area for your changing station. All right, I'm just making sure I don't have anybody commenting or having questions. So far I don't see any, but like I said, if I'm missing you, I promise I'll circle back around. Okay, so the next thing that you're going to want to have, sorry, make you guys see sick here, on Facebook. I have it on my laptop and I have Instagram on my phone, so I shook my computer a little bit. Sorry about that. Okay, so diaper cream. Let's talk about diaper creams. There is 1,000,001 options for diaper creams out there, right? So I always recommend having kind of a smaller tube or maybe even some test samples that you can sometimes get from the companies to try out and see which creams you like the best. Sometimes they're going to be super, super thick. These are great barrier creams that you can have on hand for your little one. They help prevent, some diaper rash issues that we might have, some chafing, those kind of things. And then there's like really thin creams that you can find too. And there's different ones that have different bases, petroleum based ones. There's more natural, like, coconut oil, all these kind of things that you can research and figure out now with what you feel comfortable with is always a good time to start looking at, because you're going to want to have that on hand and maybe have a couple different options on hand as well. It's really great for preventative and for treating rashes. So you want to kind of have that available to help your baby stay as comfortable as possible. And you also want to know what products will work well with the type of diapers you're using. So if you are cloth diapering, that's something that you need to figure out, because you can't use certain creams with cloth diapers like you can with disposable. So that's another thing that you'll want to kind of research and make sure that they're compatible with. All right, my next tip and trick or essential item that I think you should have in your changing station is your changing pad or mat. So a little note on this is, if you can find something that's a little more elevated, it might make it easier on you, especially if you have a lot of healing that needs to be done, like my C-section warriors with your incisions. If you have a lot of stitches, bending over can be really uncomfortable. So if we're bending over all the time trying to change baby on the bed or, this chair or whatever we're using, that can sometimes really aggravate that area. Even if you did not have a belly birth, you still have a wound within your uterus that you're healing, and sometimes bending over can be very uncomfortable. So if you can find something that's a little bit more elevated that will keep you from being completely bent over, that can be really helpful, as well as really saving your furniture from any pee accidents or any projectile fluids flying through the air that can happen. Ask my husband, he has a funny story about that with our first. But that'll really help prevent having a lot of messes. Having some sort of, towel or changing pad to keep things a little cleaner for you reduces cleanup in the long run. Something waterproof and washable can be great, because then you don't have to, you could just kind of wipe it down in between uses, especially if it's just a little pee. You can wipe that off really easily. So that's another thing to consider. All right, the next item I always recommend is having some sort of diaper pail or disposable diaper bag or something like that that can help you, contain the mess, contain the smell. If you can have something that has a lid, that's really awesome. Or really getting on a routine of when that's being taken out so that you can have a less smelly environment is always nice. So that's definitely something that can be helpful. If you're cloth diapering, something that's really useful to have as well is a wet bag for your cloth diapers, or figuring out a system for handling the dirty diapers. There are tons of resources out there for cloth diapering parents. I highly recommend, if this is a route you're going to take, to do some, research on that piece. Some people do the bucket method, where they have just like a bucket with the cleaning solutions or some sort of cleaning or water solution that they are keeping in, kind of stockpiling it for a certain amount of time, and then they're doing their wash loads. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it. Researching that now really takes away some of the stress later. So definitely look into that and figure out what feels best for you and your partner. All right, extra clothes is always a really good idea to have, because there's going to be blowout situations. There's going to be messes that happen. You're going to get the baby all clean and getting ready to get them, the new diaper on, and then something happens and the new clothes get dirty. So there's lots of things that can happen. So just having a few extra onesies on hand, having a nice little basket or something that's really easy to reach for is always a great idea to have, so that you can deal with any leakage or blowout situations that might happen at changing time. Just do another check here, make sure I don't have any questions. So far, so good. right, so the last thing that I want to kind of recommend is having some hand sanitizer. We talked about this a bit with the creating a feeding station segment or video last week. I think it was one of the trainings that we did in this mini series covered that. Having the hand sanitizer can be really helpful. I suggest having one that is fragrance free and one that might be a little bit more mild but still will take care of business, just so that you don't dry your hands out all the time. But that can be really helpful because if you're changing diapers a lot back to back to back to back, getting up a lot to wash your hands can really be difficult for if you're trying to prioritize your rest and your recovery and skin to skin time and all the things that you really actually want to do when you get home and you are snuggling in with your baby. So having that hand sanitizer can be a great option to really just kind of sanitize your hands, clean them in between the real thorough hand washing, and just kind of have that as an option for yourself and nearby so that you can reach for that is always really helpful. All right, so I'm just going to double check here, make sure I covered most of my recommendations. Oh, I was going to say the one thing that I always see, I've gotten them both times for both of my boys as gifts for showers and stuff, are those PPTPs. I don't know if you all have seen these. If you get them as a gift, great. What I wanted to say is that they're really unnecessary. Some people love them, but honestly for me and my family, it never stayed on. It was kind of a waste. So that was one thing I was going to mention, as this is something that you could probably pass on, are the PPTPs. A good old fashioned wipe really can work. Just having that covered real quick, do what you need to do to clean up and then dispose of the wipe. Is just as easy as a solution, if not easier, and way less more laundry for you to have to worry about later on. So that was just one little funny tidbit I wanted to share with my own experience as something that you could probably not worry about including. All right, so I think that covered most of what I wanted to talk about when it came to your changing stations. We talked about the diapers and the research you should really be doing for that. Talked about the wipes, same kind of spiel, what kind of research you want to do, what products feel good for you, ingredients, all of that. Diaper creams, having a few different ones on hand that maybe be some of the smaller sizes so you can test out, figuring out which ones you like the best, which works the best for your baby. We talked about having a changing pad or mat and looking into maybe a raised surface or a raised changing pad, or having some sort of setup where you're able to be where you're not bending over. So it could even be, I didn't mention this at the time, but even just like a smaller stool that is below the bed or below the sofa or whatever you might have in your recovery space, that can allow you to kind of be more at lap level with changing so that you're not bent over all the time. Can really help make it a more comfortable process for you while you're healing. We talked about having a diaper pail or some sort of disposable bag or wet bag. We talked about extra clothes, and we talked about the hand sanitizer. So those are all of my essentials that I like to mention. And one of the biggest tips too is really see if the diaper changes, especially in the early few weeks, can be handled by your partner or somebody else in your support system, because this is an easy task that somebody else can kind of take over after you've been feeding, especially during lots of cluster feeding. You're going to be exhausted. This is a really good opportunity for you to figure out a system with your partner to say, okay, after feeding, I'm going to hand you the baby for burping and diaper change and putting back down to bed, or whatever that might look like. It's a great way for your partner to feel involved and working with you as a team, and it gives you a little bit extra chance for you to rest. So it's great to have this in the recovery space. You're not going to not change a diaper, let's be honest and real, but if you can get some extra help with that, don't be afraid to ask for that, advocate for that, and put that into your postpartum plan and your discussions with your partner ahead of time. Can really help alleviate some of that work, get you a little bit more time for rest. So that's my other tip that I wanted to leave you all with. And again, if you are interested in enrolling in the P4 program, which stands for Preparing for Parenthood Postpartum Planning Program, that's why I call it the P4 program, let me know. You can set up a time with me on those links that I mentioned at the beginning in my bio for my Instagram folks, or in the comments for my Facebook folks, and we can just talk about what your goals are. This is just the very tip of the iceberg, this mini series we're breaking into about creating a space for your recovery. There is so much more that goes into it. This program is truly comprehensive and holistic in nature. We talk about from the inside out with things that you need to prepare for, how to nourish your body and how to help with your healing, how to support your hormones, how to support your milk supply if you're choosing to chest or breastfeed. We talk about nurturing your relationship with your partner ahead of time and how we can work through preparing for sharing the parental load before baby arrives, or how to shift things around with household support, how to help support older children if you happen to have older children, making sure they have a support system and a plan for their care and to feel emotionally supported. And we talk about your mental health, we talk about your emotional health and your well-being as a whole. So this is, like I said, a truly comprehensive program, and I'm so excited to welcome you into it. If it's something that you're interested in and to discuss with you, feel free to grab some time on my calendar. If you don't see a time or day that works for you, feel free to message me. Just send me a direct message. We'll get something figured out so that we can get together, share a nice, relaxed virtual coffee, and figure out how I can support you in your journey. All right, join me on Saturday for the final day of our mini-series, and we're going to be talking about one of my personal favorite things, secret weapon for your postpartum healing, and that is nutrient-dense snacks. Or nutrient-dense food in general is one of my passions in postpartum healing. I'm a certified postpartum nutrition professional. And this is a lot of the work that I do with my one-on-one clients, as well as some of the work we do in the program, on the P4 program. So we're going to be diving into some of my favorite topics on eating for postpartum in our last day of our training on Saturday. So be sure to join us then, and I will see you all very, very soon. Have a great evening.